rent every month. So I get to say I'm here at the Sound Kitchen Studio C. Dolly Parton has recorded in my room, and I make country music. That's pretty valuable. And I guarantee you every time I say it, people take photos. It's true.
Crazy.
And it's not a lie.
Yeah,
this really is what it is. So this is the layers of business. Why is it worth having an office? Why not just work at home? Well, if you can get, like Andrew Shep sold all his stuff and he can do it at home because he can do it at home and his brand supports it. We all have to start at home. Not everybody should bother going to a professional recording studio, but I like to record guitars and basses. So it made sense for me to have a really good live room. And I wanted a place that was private because my previous studio, I did 10 years in the valley of North Hollywood, getting interrupted every 10 seconds by helicopters and sirens and my now wife needing my help or dogs running in or landlord. So that was my big thing was like, okay, I'm going to move to Nashville and I'm going to make a real go of it. And I need privacy. I need a real good place that I can count on where I'm not pissing off my family life with the noise and I can be as loud as I want. So we make these decisions for business and it has to be a situation that supports the reason you're spending the money because overhead is the killer of all new small businesses. And if you don't
that's why I'm in a home studio.
That's exactly right. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I would just say if you are working from a home studio, Slate Digital VSX is a no-brainer because you need something that will give you a listening environment that is a useful neutral tool beyond what you have at the moment. Plus, you just piss people off with noise. I was a drummer. Trust me, I know that. My whole life, all everybody ever said to me was shut up. So I'm even wearing Slate VSX headphones right now because that's the headphone of choice for me as a mixer. I don't need sound isolation. So the only reason I'm going to have headphones is because I want to hear my mix in different rooms and environments because it's a useful tool. So even me in this room, it's a huge endorsement, but I love Slate's products. I love Stephen Slate and these headphones.
I love his stuff also.
Yeah, the headphones are badass. And anybody who is on the fence of the Slate VSX headphones, they're great. They're great. Better than any other headphone that doesn't have room modeling because it's giving you a bar with which to rise to. And they're pretty awesome. Shout out to Paul Wolf and Stephen for the design and implementation because it's a great product.
Cool.
So advertising, branding, setting up a farm, marketing to a territory, defining your niche. In real estate, people tend to have a specific thing they do for single family homes, apartment buildings, commercial. Everybody has their niche and a territory, and that's good. Define your territory. Something else to think about if you're building a recording studio. If you intend to be here for a while, then you should be building a recording studio that people aspire to go to. I'm here at the Sound Kitchen. There are people that have always dreamed of recording at the Sound Kitchen. I don't necessarily know them, but these people exist, right? And so if I can market to them, that's a slam dunk because they grew up down the street. Oh man, that's where Dolly Parton went on that record I love, right? So becoming and building that for your community is massive. I mean, because the reality is 99% of my business is not in Nashville. It's international business, people that find me because the world is open. But there are people that are local that need the help. And then, of course, you have to become a pillar of your community. You have to be involved. You have to care. You have to give back. Otherwise, the community will not support you. Specifically here in Nashville, it is such a competitive market. Producers, there's 1,000 sessions going on right now as we do this here in Nashville with incredibly talented players and musicians and engineers and singers and producers, every bit as good as I am. And the people that choose to work with you do it because they like your music and they like you as a human and you smell good. You know what I mean? Like, there's always a smell good candle running in my studio, right? When you walk in, your first impression has to check all the boxes. Because that first impression is authenticity for the job that I'm hiring you to do. If you want to make top dollar, the experience has to be white glove treatment from top to tail. But not only is the experience got to be great, the product has to be great. And that's the hard part is that like at every stage, we have to develop and deliver a product and an experience that are both exceptional. Otherwise, we're always going to be trapped in a mid-level job that doesn't quite pay the bills, especially with streaming royalties, what they are now. So that's something else to talk about is that if you don't get paid up front, you're not getting paid. So something I've done is I've shifted my business to the 50-50 model that goes as such, 50% to get on my calendar and 50%, 50% is due when you give me the final vocal, but before I give you the first version of the final mix. And that has saved me a lot of heartache.
That's the second 50% is after the vocal before the mix.
Yeah, so it could happen anytime before or after you give me the final vocal, but I'm not giving you your mix with the final vocal until you've paid your bill.
Right.
Yeah, and I strongly recommend that. And then, of course,
approach.
I'm happy to make as many changes as are appropriate, but there's no surprises at this point because you got a guitar mix, you got a guitar and bass mix, you got a guitar, bass, drums mix, you got a guitar, bass, drums, keys mix. Now you're getting guitar, bass, drums, keys, vocals mix. There's no surprises here. The changes should not be drastic, right? And I'm referencing against music the whole time, so the tweaks are small. So they're setting your business up where the recalls are very quick and easy is a good thing. So market, farm, work a territory, define your niche, maximize your daily working potential, question your activities. This was a question my mom always asked me. She said, is this an income producing activity? And if the answer is yes, do it. And if it's no, don't do it. And I know that sounds really simple, but we get so distracted through our day that it's very easy to say, you know what? I am going to braid cables. Is this an income producing activity? No. Don't do it. Put it down, get back to work. Dedication is better than inspiration. I can't say that enough. People love to be lazy and they love to complain about why the world owes them entitlements that they haven't worked for. I'm in this room 10 to 12 hours a day, busting my ass. And I don't know, they just keep calling. But there's things that we can do to shore up the defenses, specifically self-business anxiety, which is real. You have to have a pipeline. You have to have a very clear picture of what business you have, what you're owed, and a system to handle all your clients so that at any point when you're having the anxiety of any small business owner, as bills are coming due, you can go to your pipeline and you can track and budget everything. That takes anxiety away because you say, whew, I've got $2,000 coming in between now and the first. I can pay my rent, So that's important. Systems are very important. Routines are very important. Creativity lies in the absence of thought. It happens when the universe touches the keys through your hands and you play something and you're like, whoa, I don't even know how I played that. And it just happens. That's that like magic that everybody talks about, that studio magic, that like real genius happens. And you can't do that when your brain is thinking about 3 elements of a mix. You have to practice these until they become muscle memory and soul memory. And then when you go actually do your performance, your routines take over and then you can be creative because you're living in the moment. So
you've done all the habits, and now you can let the freedom of being. It's like you have to restrict your freedom by having all the habits, but once you have the habits,
at first,
therein lies the freedom of creativity.
Yeah, Dave Pensato said he said you can't break the rules, but you can bend them. But you can't bend them until you learn them and master them. And then you know where you can change them to fit your momentary need. And that's a really interesting thing is momentary versus global. It's like in this moment, like that guy who asked me to bump his vocals forward, it's breaking the rules momentary because he wants it to screw with the listener's ear. I don't agree with this, but I'm going to do it because I'm a man of service in this service industry job. So I'm going to do what you're asking me. As your producer, I don't think you should do this, but I'll do it for you. But he's got a purpose, an artistic purpose. He's intentionally trying to confuse you. Oh, well, then that's all you have to say.
Momentary dynamic EQ, stagnant.
There you go. Static. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, I know we need to get to the end of this, and it's getting very long in the tooth. And I have one more question that I definitely need to ask you before the thing is over. But I will say that I love how full this. I mean, I already said it, but how massive your scope of vision on the whole thing, the whole process is. And I think that's maybe your superpower.
No superpowers.
But yeah, I think it's amazing, and it's that also enables you to be so thoughtful about all these.
You know
processes.
What? You can always tell who's put the time in, and I don't mean that to be egotistical, but I've put a lot of time in. And what happens is that the old phrase "game recognized game" is that you can't fake the funk. If that's why it's like when I see these people that are every bit as good as I am, it's so much respect because like, it's like, okay, yeah, you have your own way of doing things, but I can hear it in your mixes that you're killing it. So mad respect. It's apples and pineapples. We're both doing it, but different ways. We're both getting there, so you have to also be open to other people's ways of doing things because you never know where you can beg, borrow, and steal from it or be like, wow, they're doing this better than I am. So I am always trying to learn. I'm always trying to perfect my craft. I'm always trying to get better because it's like when you think about your career, if you actually do the hours and you collect the data, I only have so many albums left before I have to retire.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but let's say it's 1,000 albums between now and when I die, right? That's not that many. So that's not to say that you're going to waste them by working with the wrong person because that's just a bad way of looking at it. But you do have to always think that you can improve and you can refine and get better and faster and maximize and optimize and all the things.
Yeah, you want to make the most of that time you have left.
Yeah, and I like things. I want to buy stuff. I want a nice house. I want a nice car. I want to eat well. So like, it's not a bad thing to want to prioritize profit as long as it's not at the expense of quality, right? Because the people who make the most put out the best product. We're not talking about like microphones that are overpriced and people buy them because of a brand and then they're disappointed. Like, I don't ever want to be that guy, but like, I definitely want people to be like, whoa, you're a Mercedes, not a.
Yeah. They're correlated even if it's not,
Yeah. And, because
causal.
That's the thing where they say work smarter, not harder, but I'd like to be appreciated. You know what I mean? I guess I want fortune and glory. I'm being like Indiana Jonesy right now, but like I really do want fortune and glory. I want my life on this planet to mean something, and I guess part of that is through service and giving back. And the people that can change the world the most are the ones who have the means to do it. So, right now Elon Musk is trying to invent space travel. You know what I mean? Like, for whatever that means. And now he's buying Twitter. It's like these people with this money can impact the world the most. And I'd like to be a player in that sphere because I think I could do good for the world. So that is also at the core of it. I think that if you do want to do good for the world, that good things happen to you. So
totally. I'm all about that. Putting good things into the environment is the move.
What was your last question you said?
Yeah, here's my last question, just because we got to wrap it.
Yep.
But just looking back on your career, was there something that you maybe did or didn't do, as the earlier Dr. Ford, that you'd want to impart, knowing what you know today, like, hey, keep at that, Daniel. It's going to get you where you want to go. Or maybe it's the other way around. Daniel, stop doing it. It's holding you back. What would be that one thing?
I have a hard opinion on this stuff is that if I changed anything, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now. So it's hard for me in this state because I am a bit more removed from these things. I've done a lot of thinking and about my own decisions and my life choices and what brought me here, that fire and the choice to go to college, meeting my wife when I went to Nashville on the second day I was there, going into that restaurant to get a job. I could have gone anywhere. So changing and regrets are really pointless because if you want to get like super weird for a second, every decision we make splits us on a timeline of the multiverse, right? Like, because you listened to that one Rockstars episode. So you messaged me on Instagram and I said, yes. And here we sit. Had you decided to go to lunch that day instead, or listen to a different podcast, we wouldn't be sitting here. And I said that to Nikki, my intern. I was like, you decided that you wanted to reach out and apply for the Grammy U mentorship, and the Grammy U gods put you with me. And by God, I'm going to give you my best, because if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. So we change the world every time we make a decision. And it's so powerful, and we take it for granted every day.
The butterfly effect is literally happening every single moment.
Look, there's someone right now listening to this podcast whose life will be changed. I don't mean that egotistically, but whether or not they stayed to listen to the podcast and they didn't get hit by the car. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, things happen like that. And that's what's so crazy about this world. So, it's really important to make good decisions, keep good people around you, try and be empathetic to everyone's situation. And if you don't trust your gut, you have to develop your gut so that you can start trusting it, because more often than not, there's a lot of people that are going to take advantage in the music business. So having a good team, it's never too early to have a relationship with a lawyer. It's, you know what I mean? Like really, really shore up the defenses and make sure that your situation is